UN's Sustainable Development Goals place a major emphasis on economic development. Indeed, the first goal is zero poverty. Progress that has been made on reducing global poverty took a major blow when the COVID-19 pandemic struck in early 2020. Women and people working in the informal economy have been hit particularly hard by the pandemic. Here's a warning from the UN on potential lasting fallout. And this is a direct quote. The COVID-19 pandemic is far more than a health crisis. It is affecting societies and economies at their core. While the impact of the pandemic will vary from country to country, it will most likely increase poverty and inequalities at a global scale, making achievement of SDGs even more urgent. They continue. Assessing the impacts of the COVID-19 crisis on societies, economies, and vulnerable groups is fundamental to inform and tailor the responses of governments and partners to recover from the crisis and ensure that no one is left behind in this effort. They close with this. Without urgent socioeconomic responses, global suffering will escalate, jeopardizing lives and livelihoods for years to come. Immediate development responses in this crisis must be undertaken with an eye to the future. Development trajectories in the long term will be affected by the choices countries make now and the support they receive. End quote. So what can we do in our classrooms? How can we tackle the essential question of how can we create a world where all people have equal economic opportunities? For our students, the first step is to understand that poverty isn't a character flaw. It's the product of long-standing social, political, and economic phenomena. We look at the legacies of European colonialism in this chapter, which historians Susan Gage and Don McNair once equated to a huge vacuum cleaner sucking all the wealth and jobs and pride out of colonies. We consider examples from the Belgian Congo and look at the inextricable connection between economic rights and human rights. We also consider global capital flows and look at microfinance as one way to address global poverty for people traditionally deprived of capital. Readers are introduced to kids who participate in microlending programs and learn about how their consumer choices impact everything from the environment to the lived experience of producers worldwide, including child laborers and those working under unfair labor conditions. There's a lot here in this chapter, ranging from cryptocurrencies to automation. And it lends itself to all sorts of choose-your-own-adventure in terms of what your students want to delve into more deeply. In this, it's ideal for extended project-based explorations of key issues. There are so many actions that kids can take around economic issues, from being intentional about their consumer choices to working to address food insecurity in local communities. Our profile in global citizenship on Florisa Mugambi of Kibebe, Malawi, shows how a group of people can come together to create economic opportunities that can help break cycles of poverty. Finally, for an activity, we take a look at Label Conscious. This asks students to take a look at their own closets and examine where their apparel is made. Then readers look to the CIA's World Factbook or other resources to investigate where the factories are located, the average education and income level for that country, primary industries and life expectancy in that country, and labor practices. It also asks students to look more closely at transparency pledges issued by clothing companies about how their products are made and who makes them. Note that we do also have a creative writing extension in the green box on this page at left. And with thanks to this activity, especially for Bill Bigelow and Bob Peterson of Rethinking Schools, they allowed us to adapt and reprint this. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you for the next chapter on environmental rights.